This conference will now be recorded.
All right, let me share my screen. And we're going to start out with Yardi. Just a couple of things that hopefully you guys find helpful. And this is definitely an informal thing. Please stop me if you have any questions, or if it brings up another question, please stop me. I don't feel like we have a full hour's worth of stuff. So if you guys have questions as we go along, please let me know. So first thing I want to know, and this is particularly going to be useful for you newer folks, if you go to roles up here at the top and switch to the residential manager role, and I've probably got a lot more roles than most of you, but you should see it under roles, residential manager. If you don't see it, that means you're probably already there. Then again, over on the left, about 2/3 of the way down, there's this administration. Click on that, and you'll see the option to set default property. So this is when you first log into Yardi in the morning. If it takes you to a property that's not normally yours, you can go in here, set default property, and choose what you want to start with. So then when you log in, that's the property it'll take you to. Unfortunately, you can't do it with property lists, which is what I would prefer. You can pick a single property. If you are somebody that floats between a couple, just kind of pick the one you're at the most, or the one you seem to be at the most. Number two, I'm going to switch back to the affordable entire set custom role. This has all of our custom stuff on it. And down here towards the bottom, you'll see insert memos. This is how you can create multiple memos at the same time for multiple residents. So if we do insert memos, a good use case for this would be memos for 30-day notices, right? You're issuing 10 different 30-day notices rather than having to type out or even copy and paste the same memo 10 times. We can just write one memo and automatically put it on all those households. So I'm gonna go with, I'm starting in text 5. I'm gonna delete what it has in here for the tenant. Just click on tenant, a hyperlink. Here we can choose which households we apply this memo to. So here in the search bar, I'm just gonna start looking up BTW residents. And I would definitely do this in tests normally, but it doesn't work in tests. So I'm going to do everything except push the final button. So if we need to send this memo to Ebony, I'm going to check her name. I'm going to check Nufa. And I'll check Valerie. So however many memos you need to put in, fill out that, click the box for each of those residents. Then it'll have all of them listed here. This little caret is what it's called, little up arrow. It's almost like a wait, there's more notation. So it's this one plus this one plus this one. We can put our date in, 9/14, and we'll do 1:05 p.m. Choose our memo type, and then we just write our memo. We'll say 30-day notice for non-payment and delivered and mailed today. Report only yes is going to tell you what it's going to do. Report only no is going to actually do the memos. So if we just do yes, oh, I must have picked one wrong person. So that error is telling me that one of the people I picked is not a BTW resident. We'll start deleting people. Let's see if we can figure out who it was.
Brian, are you talking?
Yeah, can you guys not hear me?
Is it just me? But I feel like you're fading in and out. Is everybody else getting that too? Yeah.
No. Okay. Let me turn it up a little bit. Sorry, guys. Give me just 1 second.
See, like right there, you started off strong and then it kind of faded out.
Is this any better?
That's better. Yes.
I'm guessing it's just, yeah, I picked one of the wrong persons. This is the process though, and if you switch it to report only no and click submit, it'll add the memo to each of these households. Don't want to do it in real life because it would actually happen. Nancy says you can do .all for the tenants you're saying, Zoe? Nancy? Or for other properties? So we do .all for the property, then yeah, we wouldn't have. So report only yes. Yeah, there we go. So it would be adding this memo for each of these households. We'd only have to do the process once. Questions on that? I'm sorry, I wish I could make it work in test and we could actually do it, but
So Brian,
go ahead.
if you hit report only no, does that actually put the Yardi memo on there?
Report only no, yeah, actually does the memo.
Okay.
Report only yes tells you what it's going to do.
Okay.
So we could go in and confirm, yep, these 3 people are who I'm meaning to send this to, and then we can just go back, and all our info is there except for the note. We just retype the note.
Okay. And then do report only no, and then it all gets put on there.
Yes.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
And then the last Yardi thing I had was use of this favorites. I didn't use it that much, but I've been trying to use it more the last several months. And so essentially you can, things that you do quite a bit, you can put up here in this favorites bar. And then you can just choose it from the drop down. I always forget what's in 5.9 functions versus 5.9 tools. And whichever one I pick, it's going to be the other one 100% of the time. So if you find something, so for example, a good one would be unit transfers. It's something we do, but maybe not super often. Rather than having to remember where it is, you just go in and then right click on whatever you're wanting to add. You have this add to favorite. Click on that, and then it's going to be up here in your favorites. This works for anything on this left side menu or anything over here on the top. So again, that's just finding whatever you want to do, right click, and then add to favorites.
So essentially, Brian, this would work for like a TAR report or something like that that you pull quite often.
It does, so it gets you almost there. So it has to be one of these things in the left side menu or the top menu. So for example, you can do analytics and then compliance reports, or analytics and then affordable reports, and it'll at least take you there. So we can make affordable reports a favorite, and then it's just a matter of choosing, which of the reports do you want.
Okay, great, thank you.
Are your favorites different depending on the role you're in?
Yeah, good question. So it is role specific. So before we had switched to residential manager, if I switch back, then my favorites, I just have one. In the entire set, I have all these, and this is where I normally am, right? The custom affordable entire set. They are role specific, but they are specific to you. So if you work at 2 different properties. As long as you're using the same login at both, that's going to work exactly the same. If you work sometimes from a laptop, doesn't matter. It's tied to your login. Any quick Yardi questions? Anybody wants to ask? Okay. Let's switch over to Laserfiche then. A couple of things I wanted to show here. So first, let's start off with, if you go up to the top under File, New Browser Window. It opened on my other screen, but you can see now I have 2 different versions of Laserfiche. This would be super helpful for filing items from items to file. So I've got, if I go into BTW here, let me go actually, I know theirs is pretty cleanered out. You can go to Coronado, their items to file. And then from here, the other side, I'm presenting on one monitor, right? But if you have 2 monitors, you can see how you can have the documents on this side, and then you can have the place you're filing them in over here. So we have UT documents for Coronado, it looks like. I can go into the UT folder and then just drag those directly here. I can also just open this. And now I can drag page by page where I need everything to go. So, and this is a keyboard shortcut, right? So if I click on this page 1, and then I hold down Control and Shift, and then click on page 10, it grabs everything in between. So now I can drag pages 1 through 10, all of them, over to Lease and Attachments folder, or wherever I need them to go. Control and Shift. Those will go away, then I can grab the next couple of pages and drag those as well. I see a lot of smiles from Dominique. I'm real happy. This helps. Second Laserfiche thing you can look at is active files. So every property has an active files folder. And this is really kind of the information that's used to generate your certification tracking emails. Every folder in here is actually a shortcut. You can see the little arrow in the corner. I'm like Superman. Well, you're welcome. I'm going to mention that to my kids. You can see these are all shortcuts. These are shortcuts for certification folders that are in process, some level of in process, right? So not finalized, not canceled. This is every file your property is currently working on or has open essentially. And the default sort is kind of by name. So that's useful, right? If you're looking for someone by name, but any of these columns you can click on and it can sort it that way for you. So we started out alphabetical by name. Now we're in unit number order. You can also click on file status and it will sort all of those together. So for example, here are all the files I have with an eviction status. Do I need to confirm all of these households are still on eviction, or do we need to change the status? Or here are all my pending interviews. Is that right? Has anyone reached out to schedule one? Do I need to update the status? You can also sort by last modified date. So you can.
Brian, can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
I don't have all of this under the name, page count, unit file. How do I add those columns to my page?
Great question. So any of these column headings you can right click on it. And then we'll go down to template fields. And then LIH status is really where we work and play. So this is a template where most of our work is done. So you can check any of these. You'll have to do it one by one, but you can add the property notes, the client number, cert date, review notes, cert type, and property. Do you want to grab a screenshot of this while I'll just stay on here? Yeah, cool. It's template fields, LIH status, and this is going to be almost, everything we use. Cert date, as Nancy said, is super helpful. CCP, you good? Okay.
Yes, thank you.
I just reset all my defaults, so I don't have cert date on here. Cert date is super helpful. That's a good one to sort by as well. So then you can look and see all your 10 ones together. Is this everything I think I have that's still open? And it's going to grab ARs and IRs, but it's good to have it all there. We've also got down here at the bottom, these YYMMDDs. These are ones where we haven't put in a cert date yet. And then there are some blank ones as we saw at the top. These are just ones that were created, so there hasn't been a metadata change yet. So you've probably run the business process, but haven't done anything else. Once metadata refreshes, it'll add the YYMMDD, or once you change the file name and refresh the metadata, it will pull into this field. This is a super useful thing to kind of get used to and master. This is like having a certification tracking email constantly at your fingertips. You can see what's kind of just sitting there. You can see your open ARs, IRs, all the above. Questions on this? Okay, and this last thing, I'm gonna split my screen again. And dragging and dropping emails directly from Laserfiche into an email. So if I compose a new email and say I want to send off this income verification, all I need to do is just drag it in here. You'll see it says drop files here. And it's downloading up here, showing you that it's working. Then here we go. So down here at the bottom, you can see the attachment. So family contributions, VOEs, that kind of stuff, super useful.
I'm sorry, do that again, please.
Yeah. So just opening a new email. All I'm doing is just click on what I want to send, right? And I'm going to hold it. Don't let go, and then just drag it in. It works the same way in Outlook, if you prefer Outlook, and I do actually, but it works the same way. Just click and drag it into the email. The question was, can you do the same thing with just pages? Yes, you can. So I'm not going to set a bad example by emailing EIB, but I'll email a reminder notice. So same trick again. I'm going to click on page 1, Control Shift, and click on page 3. All 3 of these I can drag in. Here's my research. It attaches as a PDF. So it changed file types, but it works. And PDF's by far the more used file type.
Hey, Brian, and just to confirm, you know how you did the drag and drop of the file folder? Hypothetically, if there was 10 pages in that file folder, it's basically bringing over all 10 pages, correct?
Correct. So if we want to just, without getting into the individual pages, I can just, this might take a minute because it's like 26 pages, but yeah, if you drag it over, it's grabbing everything. So page 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, this is all of them.
Question, Brian. So if say you have, you know how you have your file folders that you create in the legal drive? It's a shared drive that we use with our attorneys. Can we drag and drop from Laserfiche into that?
You asked me this morning, and I didn't get a chance to test it. I don't think so, but I was gonna try and figure something out. So
I think
let's
Nancy
see.
is giving thumbs up. Yes, it can.
It can.
Mm-hmm.
So recertification notice. Yeah, so it looks like it works the same way. That's nice.
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Questions on that? Or anything else involving Laserfiche? Only other thing I'll say on Laserfiche is, you know how you get those pop-ups and it asks you, do you want me to ask you this again? Sometimes I get frustrated and click that button, like, no, don't ask me again. But then later realize, oh, wait, it should have. I should have. There are times where I might need to go the other direction. There is a setting where you can reset your choices. It'll take me a minute to find it, of course. Well, no, I don't see it. Well, if that, if you do run into that, let me know, and we can figure it out. Sometimes the one in particular I'm thinking of is sometimes when you move documents from one doc shell to another, right? Like you put it in the wrong place, it asks you, do you want to delete this doc shell, basically? And so I leave that one on always as just ask me every time. Sometimes I do want to delete the doc shell. Sometimes I don't.
Brian, I do. Whenever you figure it out, I do need to know how to get mine back on.
John just unmuted. He might have found it.
Yeah, I think if you go to options and then there's a reset deal and there's general and prompts. If you go to prompts, I think that's the one you want.
Options, you said first?
Yeah, so sorry, tools, options. And then right under print, there's like a little circle arrow thing that says reset.
That's the one.
Yeah, and then hit prompts and it's got a bunch of different ones.
This is what you're looking for. CCP. So tools, options, and then it's under this reset guy, general, and then restore. And it's going to start asking you a bunch of questions. Whenever you do something, some things you can, yes, make this my default choice. Other things, it's like, no, I need to know each and every time, and I'll choose. All right, let's switch over to monday.com. So first thing, one of the things I hear the most about Monday is there's so many boards, it's hard to keep track of everything. But each board has up here at the top this little star, similar to the Yardi favorites. If you click that star of the boards that you use the most, you can go over here and instead of main workspace, change it to favorites. That way, 90% of the work you do, if it's in these boards, it's going to be right there in front of you. So star your favorite boards and then switch from main workspace to favorites. All that's going to change is what you see right here. So if there's a board that you don't use as much, but somebody might mention you, you're still going to get the email or the notification. And so you'll have to switch this back and then go and find that board. But for most of the things you'll want to do, this is pretty handy.
I'm sorry, Brian, one more time for me again.
Yep. So every board has next to the name of the board at the top, this star. If you click it so that it's gold, that's going to show in your favorites. So on the left, you'll probably see main workspace as your option here. If you switch it to favorites, then you're just going to see the ones that you use, that you've already clicked that star on. So your first step from main workspace would be, okay, what do I use the most? Open those and just click that star. Then once you've done that, you can switch from main workspace to favorites, and they're all in one spot. The second thing I want to show, I'm going to go down, switch back to favorites actually. This is my task board. Every single board has an email address. If you go up here to the 3 dots at the very top right, go to board settings, and then create items via email. So that's 3 dots at the top, and board settings, and then create items via email. You get this long and terrible email address. If you're really good at remembering, or you're not very good, or you don't have many Monday.com boards, you can just use this and remember which one it is. But there's kind of a trick. So I'm going to copy this email address. So now it's on my clipboard. I'm going to switch back to Chrome. And I'm going to go to contacts.google. I'll just put this link in chat. Contacts.google.com. Now I can create a contact. And it has a field here for email. So now I can just paste that email address in. Whoops. Live and die by the copy this again. So here's that contact's email address. And now I'm going to put as the first name just Brian's task board. So I've got my ugly email address, and I've got Brian's task board as the first name for this contact. Save. Now if I go, if I have an email, something I need to work on, this is a good example. Nancy's been emailing me about this today, but I haven't got a chance to take a look. I can just forward this email to my new contact, Brian's task board. Now if I switch back to Monday, I have my email here. So now rather than trying to keep up with the emails, I can work on this directly from here. My task board and Nancy's my boss. I can mention her. Let me say, Nancy, took a look and think that whatever, right? Just to kind of recap, I know there's a lot of little steps there. You can go to the 3 dots in Monday, board settings, create items via email. That's going to give you the specific email address for the board that you're on. You then can go to contacts.google.com, create a new contact, and just name it whatever makes sense to you. This is going to be what comes up as the option when you start typing out the name in Gmail. It also works for Outlook. This does as well. So once your Google contacts sync to Outlook, it'll work just the same. And then we're just going to paste the email address from that Monday board here. So now instead of trying to type out or remember or go back to the board to get this email address every single time, now I just need to remember Brian's task board. You can set one up for John's task board as well. Email him crazy stuff at 3 in the morning. He loves that. Just kidding, don't do that. Any other Monday.com questions? All right. Then lastly, let's just look at a couple of easy Excel things we can do. So I created this this morning. This is the Yardi report. I changed all the names to English royalty, so we're not outing anybody's actual info. And there's just a couple things we can look at. So first, and this is something Nancy taught me this morning, I just used to write the formula, but you can highlight all these numbers, any numbers you want, right? Any range. And then from the home tab over here on the far right, there's auto sum. I can click this arrow and choose what we want to do. If I click sum, then right below it, it's just going to add all those numbers together. That's the sum of everything I highlighted. I can also do average. Oops. So average, so this would be the average income of every household at Selena. There's other options like min and max. So what's the highest value in this range? What's the lowest value? This one can count how many of these are numbers. It would be all of them, I think. 32. So this is a helpful, easy one. If you got a bunch of numbers, like say in a ledger or a TAR report, highlight them all, click that auto sum, and it's just going to add them all together for you without having to write the formula. The other thing is conditional formatting, which is just one of my favorite things. It's going to format cells how you tell it to based on a condition. And for most things, it's going to walk you right through it. So for example, if we wanted to visually see, we have here yes and no in this column. If we wanted to make it really obvious who is or is not disabled, I'm going to do kind of that same thing and highlight everything. And also on the home tab is this conditional formatting. And I'm going to create a new rule. This second option, format only cells that contain, is super versatile. So let's go with that one. So basically we want to format cells where the cell value is equal to yes. We want that format to be to highlight them red. So format cell values that are equal to yes. Click OK. Here we see all of our yeses are in red, and the no's are unhighlighted. If I wanted to look at everyone who's lived here for at least 5 years, I have the occupancy in years here, and go to conditional formatting, set up a new rule, format cells that contain cell value is greater than, I'll do 4.9999999. Do a lovely peach. There we go. That's everyone who's been here for at least 5 years. Spreadsheets are kind of mind-numbing at times. If you can make it visual, make it easy to see what you're supposed to do, this is a super handy trick. Anything else Excel-wise? Really, anything else about anything else?
Brian,
Yes, ma'am.
for the Excel that you just did, so if we were to, like you said, change column M, for instance, does it change it for everybody? Like if it was to move it around or sort differently?
Does it update, basically? So if I were to switch this to 1, unhighlighted, is that what you mean?
Well, I just want to make sure that it's not just, I guess mine is basically a sort question. Like if I'm sorting by M, does it also take everything for that unit and sort it?
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
It does, yeah. So sorting scares the crap out of me. What I always do every single time, no matter what I'm doing, is just I click to the left and above A1, so right here, and it highlights everything. So now when I sort, the rows are, the information on the row is going to stay the same. So if I want to sort by M now and go to data, sort by occupancy in years, now the data didn't move around. I think what causes this issue is if you were just to highlight column M, it would sort those by values, but everything else would stay static.
Okay.
So pretty much anytime I'm doing any sorting, I'm just highlighting all. And then it's going to keep the data within the rows the same.
Okay. I have another question. Say you wanted to choose a column and make it like a yes, no type pull down. How do I do that?
So I'll highlight these fields here. And then under data, there is data validation. If I click on that and then do data validation, I can then choose what I want. So right now it's allowing any value. I could put the number 6, I could put the word purple. If we switch it to list, then it's going to ask for a source. I always do this in the wrong area. So I'm going to do over here, just kind of in the random area, yes and no. So now if we go back, data validation, list, and then I can click on this icon here. Just highlight those 2 cells.
You faded out, Brian. I'm sorry.
So I typed in this list here. And so that gives me the source of what I want for the dropdown.
Okay.
So if I click OK here, then each of these now has a dropdown with yes and no.
Okay. Thank you.
What else? Yeah. Anything else, Excel or otherwise? 18 minutes left. Y'all try and stump me.
Brian, can you remind me how to wrap the text? I know Cece's told me before, but I can't remember.
This was a paragraph written by Christian. I'm just going to paste it here. You can see, yeah, it's just dragging out here all the way around, right? If I wanted to limit it to just these cells, so I can do a couple things. On the Home tab, I'm going to do Merge and Center. So this is all now one cell, but you can see it's cut off, right? Right above Merge and Center is Wrap Text. Now, we can see it looks different, but we still can't see everything. If I go here, this is on row 47. If I go to the bottom of row 47, right below it, you see how my icon changes to the above and below. If I just drag here, or I can, whoops, drag here, I can get the whole thing in one. Does that answer your question? Yeah. Okay. You kind of have to play around with it from time to time. What else?
Brian, I have a question.
Yeah.
The other day I was doing, Nancy was helping me out with something for a particular unit, and I couldn't find an email that John had sent me. And she was looking in Monday, I was looking through my emails. Is there a quicker way to find an email that someone is sending you a message on Monday and you can find it versus looking through all of your emails? Is there just like a quicker way to do that?
Yeah. So we go back to my Gmail. There's a couple things. So one, I can do, so I'm going to start typing from and then colon. So no spaces, from colon, and then I'm going to put John. This now is going to give me every email John's ever sent me. So that's one way to narrow it down. You can also, all of these filters work. So if I know it was like more than a month ago, I can apply that and it's only going to show me the old stuff. The from John, by the way, also works in Outlook. I don't know who else uses Outlook. I use Outlook. I feel like an old man, but these tricks work in both. In Monday.
Brian, can I ask you a
Yeah.
question before you get off the Gmail?
Yeah.
So I usually go to like that folder, like say sent or trash or whatever,
Yes.
and then type in like John, and then it pulls up like his email, and then I can, I feel like it pulls up everything. Is that a good way to do it too?
It is,
Just,
yeah.
just to go to that folder. Okay.
If you, so sent definitely works. Sent works regardless, right? I have kind of all these subfolders that I've created.
Mm-hmm.
That only works if I filed it in the right place.
Right.
If I stay in inbox, then it searches everything.
Mm. Okay.
In Monday, there is this search everything. And here, like, it's pretty robust. So I search for 004, 011. It's going to give me things from the terminations board, the Yardi adjustment request, all these archive things. But that's a good way. this microscope, not microscope. What is that called?
Magnifying glass.
Thank you. Magnifying glass here on the top. And we can also narrow that down to John, who is somewhere. There he is. If you know what board, for sure. If you know what board it's on, you can also search from right up here, right? But I think this is only searching like the actual fields. So like this, I would have to search for 0. If there was something in, you know, the issue that was specific, it wouldn't return anything. But if you know it was assigned by John, or if John was the person who was assigned, you can filter that as well. The assignee was John. So these were his two. And it certainly depends on which board you're talking about, right? And if it was like an audit board, it could be you were talking to John, but it was actually Payal's or, you know, Susan's. But yeah, there's different kind of ways to filter down to what you're looking for. What else do you guys have? So a couple quick things we wanted to mention. So one, we noticed that the move out security deposit interest process has changed a little bit from what's in the SPG. We think this was a change that came about from the last plugins that we didn't know was going to be a change. But so we're aware of it, and we're working on updating the SOP and SPG with the new screenshots. It's somewhat intuitive, I think, if you kind of follow through the idea of what you were doing previously. But we'll get it updated with the new steps. And then related to that, and because we now have this thing that we discovered that we didn't know was going to be in the plugins, if you see something has changed from how the SPG or SOP looks, please definitely let us know. We thought we had a good handle on what was changing. There wasn't much really that had an impact to SOPs. It was really one thing that we came up with that's specific to something that Christian does. But if you see something that's different, definitely let us know. We're not in the same screens as you guys most of the time. So yeah, if there's something weird, let us know and we'll check it out. Replace the screenshots in the SOP SPG just to make it clearer and easier. Cool. Was this helpful? Yeah. Okay. Good. All right. Well, with that, I'll let you guys have 10 minutes of your day back. Thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you, Brian.
Thanks, Brian.
All right.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you guys. Bye.